So online, can you hear me?
Yes, sir.
Good. All right, good. Thanks for confirming, everyone. So let us continue our discussion. We'll start with quick review, and probably we'll complete our chapter 11 discussion, and we'll have lab that will deal with interrupts in future. All right, so with that, yeah, let us stay here. Everyone make sure that we have mask, etc., as per the COVID-19 protocol. Okay, thank you. So last time we discussed timer 2 and timer 1. For timer 2, we compare with timer 0. Right? They are similar, not identical. A few things. Timer 2 will have more options for prescaling, and timer 2 can be used as real-time counter. Then we discuss about timer 1. Right? By the way, this is the diagram for timer 2. We have two external connections. Timer 1, again, we can have input from outside, very similar to timer 0, with some difference. It is 16-bit timer, and these are the control words for them. 16 bits, we can have a high and low, 8-bit equivalent. Okay? And we say, okay, this is the way we understand the TCCR. This will look familiar to you. TCCR 1B, and we run through one of the programs, right, quickly to understand. Okay, there are similar, and we can explore that in the lab in detail, as it will take a little bit more time. 16-bit, we have a few more things to configure. Okay? We understood the prescaling with this example, and then we started interrupt. We understand polling versus interrupt method. This is a polling method, right? We wait for the flag, right? In interrupt, we can do multiple things. We can keep the interrupt subroutine in background. So we started with timer interrupts. We are familiar with timers, so we say, okay, let us study the timer interrupt. We discuss this program in detail. The essential things. Okay, these are two timer interrupt related instructions. First is to enable timer 0 overflow. Second is the global enabling, and we have interrupt subroutine. Right? Upon reset, all interrupts are disabled. We understood to enable interrupt. One thing is set the MSB of status register to activate all interrupts. Second is set bit for individual interrupts. Right? So this is our status register. The MSB is for the global interrupt enable. We have two instructions. One for the activate or set the interrupt. Second is to deactivate or clear the interrupt, the global interrupt. And then another is for the specific timer or any other interrupt that you want to activate. Right? This is for timer interrupt. We discussed this, very similar to a TIFR register. We understood this program, and we observed that, okay, the program control will go to a location designated by the vector, and we have dedicated vector locations for all interrupts. We discussed the steps involved in interrupt. These are the ROM locations, the vector table for all interrupts. There are so many of interrupts, and we stopped here. Any question at this stage? Any question? All right. So last time, So everyone is here. Yeah, by the way, completely focused for the discussion. Last time we say, okay, there is a shortcut. The way we write the TCNT zero value with negative number. So let us quickly go through this concept. All right. So here is our 8-bit sign number scenario. The MSB is dedicated for sign. If it is 1, the number is negative. All right. D0 to D6 defines the magnitude, and D7 defines whether it is positive or negative. Fine. Positive numbers are from 0 to plus 127. Negative numbers are represented in 2's complement. 2's complement. So what we do, write the magnitude of the number in 8-bit with no sign. Take 1's complement, that is invert each bit, and add 1 to it. That is 2's complement. Yes or no? Okay. Do we recall our 2's complement? Right? 1's complement, 2's complement. Yes or no? Right? Everyone pays attention. Everyone pays attention. So let us have a quick calculation. Right? If I give you a number, can you convert it into 8-bit binary format, and can you write 1's complement and then 2's complement? Okay, let that number be simple. Say 0 cross 07. In 8-bit format, what is 1's complement and what is 2's complement? Very quick review. What is 1's complement? And online you can type 1's complement and 2's complement. Online you can type what is the answer, what is 1's complement? Okay, 1 1 1 1 1 0 0 0. Okay. 1's complement. 2's complement would be 1 1 1 1 1 0 0 1. All right. So this is for 8 bits. Now here we deal with 7 bits only. Okay. The 8th bit is designated for sign. Okay. So if you want to write down, say, -7, let us see if this looks like this. So how the following numbers are represented in microcontroller? -7 and -56. So let us see first -7. -7. Okay, first we have the binary equivalent. Then we have 1's complement and we have 2's complement. So -7 is represented like this as a signed number. Okay, -7. -7. So how -56 will be represented? If it is a 7-bit signed number, right? 8 bits is signed. So if you go through that quickly, you want to save some time, so let us move forward. So 56, if you convert it into binary, right, would be like this. Okay, you take 1's complement and you take 2's complement. That is C8H. This is how it will be represented inside the microcontroller. All right. Everyone is fine with this. Then this is general list. Okay, -128. Right. This is how they are represented. -1 represented like FF, -2 like FE, +1. You understand this. Yes, 2's complement and MSB is signed. All right. So if you want to represent -1, it is FF. -2, it is FE. Clear? Now, if I want to run timer 0 in the normal mode for only one clock cycle, for only one clock cycle. All right. What will I do? I use this equation. Time delay equals to FF minus NN plus 1 into single clock period. Fine. I want to run it for only one clock cycle. And if you like decimal, this is the number. Time delay of 1. Assume that clock frequency is 1 megahertz. Right? And I want to run my timer for 1 microsecond. What will be value of mm? Time delay, everyone calculates, right? Time delay equals to 1 microsecond. Frequency is 1 megahertz. It is 255. Yes. If I convert it to hex, it is. I want to run for 2 microseconds. That is count of 2. What will be this? 2. What will be this? So I want to run my counter for 1 unit of time. Okay, this is my X number. For 2 unit of time. Good. Now look at this. I want to run it for 1 unit of time. It is FF. We calculated it. 2 unit of time FE. Okay. So we see there is a shortcut. Okay. In place of using this equation, right, I come up with some number. I just represent it in signed number. What is not visible? Whatever. Okay. So let us shift this. Is it visible now? Is it visible?
Yes, sir. It is visible.
Visible?
Yes.
Thanks. So where it was not visible, don't worry. What you want to look at is this. If I want to run the timer or counter, in this case timer, for 1 duration of the clock period, I use the equation, I get the value of 255 to be loaded. Next time it will be roll over from FF to 0, flag will be generated. I can write down as FF. That is exactly -1. Okay. So eventually, if you don't want to calculate, you figure out that exact number, how many times you want to run the counter, and input it to the controller as a negative number. They are equivalent. Is it clear? They are equivalent. So you will see some of these notations in the textbook. -32. -32 means we are running the timer 32 times, after which the rollover will happen. Clear? So that is shortcut. So that is negative number. Any question? So that was quick review of negative numbers, and from where this -32 comes in our program that we did last time. Is this clear or not? Okay. Fine. So we move forward. Programming external hardware interrupts. So any question here? The negative numbers, I think it is clear. and the textbook program that uses the shortcuts should be clear. If that is clear, we can move on to programming hardware interrupts. Yes or no? Now, if you go back very quickly, we have so many interrupts. The first is reset. That is also hardware interrupt. But we may say external hardware interrupt. We have three of them: 0, 1, and 2. Then we have timer interrupts, and there are so many others. We will come to there when we reach that point. So we understand timer interrupts now, right? We have written one program for timer 0, normal mode. You can have similar approach for other interrupts. Now let us explore external interrupts. And these external interrupts are connected to the pins. So port D, pin number 2 is INT 0. This is INT 1. Port D, pin number 3. Or you may say, yeah, we are starting from 0. So in our 40 pin IC, it is pin 16 and 17, and then we have interrupt 2, that is pin 3, right, where they are connected. Right, remember, timer is on pin number 1, timer 0, timer 2, timer 0 is here, timer 1 is here. Timer 2 has some extension here, if you want to use it as real-time counter. Right? So these are all different input from outside world. So now we say, okay, I want to use this external interrupt that is hardware based, and with help of that I want to do program. So what to do? So we fast forward, okay, programming external hardware interrupts. Okay, they are here. These are the vector table locations. Just for your reference, reset, okay, 0. External interrupt request 0. We have location 2. Then for 1, request 1, we have 4, and 2 number is 6. Correct? And from here you can jump to other locations. How to activate them? Hardware interrupts must be enabled for utilization. Like timer, you remember the equivalent of TIFR register? Here is our register, we call it GICR, General Interrupt Control Register. In that, we have 3 bits towards the MSB to activate those interrupts. So D7, right? If it is 1, it enables external interrupt 1. If it is 0, disable external interrupt 1. So you may quickly draw at its first 3 bits of this GICR, General Interrupt Control Register, because now we will use that in the program. Right, quickly. Online, you can do that as well. And it doesn't hurt if you write down few things. Right, GICR register that will be used for the program. All right. Say it again. So, if you remember last time, let me go back. Let me go back quickly. Let me go back. So, timer interrupt, for example. To activate timer 0 in interrupt mode, right? For overflow, we need to set this bit For compare, we need to set the next bit. Is it clear? Or not? For timers, if you want to activate them as interrupt, or you want to activate timer interrupt, you go to this register TIMSK and set that bit, corresponding bit. Fine. Similarly, if you want to activate the hardware interrupt, you go to this register. Let me fast forward. Okay. And you set that pin, that bit. Loudly. Okay, the question is, can we enable 2 interrupts? Answer is yes. Yes. You can enable all the interrupts. Right? You can enable all the interrupts. Where are these interrupts? This is the list. Okay, let us go back. You can use as many interrupts as you want. Okay. There is a defined priority that will refer towards the end of the lecture. If you have multiple interrupts, do we have priorities? Answer is yes. Is it clear? Can we activate multiple interrupts? Answer is yes. What happens if 2 interrupts simultaneously wants to activate themselves? We have priority list. Clear? Does it answer your question? Yes? Fine. Okay. So again, let us fast forward. So this is one register that will be used for programming. All right, GICR register, corresponding bit. And there is another register we call MCU control register. MCU control register. That will define how we want to activate. And there are 4 bits here, right? ISC00, ISC01. These 2 bits, right, will define interrupt 0. How you want interrupt 0. And similarly, we have another 2 bits, ISC10 and ISC11, that will define how you want to have external hardware interrupt 1. What are possibilities? They are identical, 0 and 1. If you put both the bits 0, 0, it is low level of INT0 generating an interrupt request. Whenever logic low, that is logic 0 comes there, interrupt request is generated. If you put 0, 1, any logical change on INT0, that is transition from high to low or from low to high, that will generate the interrupt. 1, 0, that is transition from high to low. 1, 1, transition from low to high. 4 possible way we can activate external hardware interrupt for interrupt 0 and 1. And to do that, we need to program the control register, MCU control register, MCUCR. Okay, you put the right value there, like timer control register. You decide, okay, this is the way you want to activate. Fine. Yeah, you can. Yes, go ahead. Mhm. Hold on for one more slide. Yes, so hold on for one more slide. Okay, hold on for one more slide. We have a rule of thumb. Right? We are a little bit forward in time. Hold on. What happens? We'll see. At this time, we are configuring. Right? We are configuring. Fine. 4 possible ways. For 0, so interrupt 2, we have another register called MCU control and status register, in which we have one bit D6, only one bit. And if it is one bit, we have only two possible combinations, either falling edge or rising edge. Right? Either falling edge or rising edge. So if you are dealing with interrupt 2, you use MCU control and status register, bit number 6, to define which way you want to activate interrupt. Clear? Fine. So some example. Yes. Okay. So this is another control register, MCU control register. 4 bits are there dedicated. Yes. All right. Now let us calculate few things. So the instruction to make INT 0 falling edge triggered. You want to make INT 0 falling edge triggered, right? What you want to have? In MCU CR, falling edge. Okay, which one it was? INT 0 falling edge. Right? So it is 1 0, so we can have 0 cross 0 2. That is the hex equivalent. Make INT 1 triggered on any change. INT 1 triggered on any change. So let us see. Any change means okay. So these two value will be 0 and 1. 0 1. So if you look at that, we have 2 0. Right? Or if you want to have the hex equivalent, okay, we are taking from R20, that is the register in a way. This is the assembly, don't worry. The content is 0 cross 04. Right? Is it clearer? 0 cross 04. We go back. 0 cross 04. 4 will be 0 1 0 0. Right? Fine. Third, make INT2 rising edge triggered. Okay, rising edge. So this should be 1. So this is 0 1 0 0 0 0 0 0. So 4 0. That value that we are taking from R20, right, is assembly program, is equivalent to 4 0. Here, this is how we will program them. All right. Yes or no? Do we understand? Fine. Now here is your answer. Yes. Fine. Done. What is the? We want to place 1 at which location? At this location. Shift 1 at this location. This is the bit number. If you recall our previous lectures discussion, right? This will be replaced by bit number, not the content of that bit. All right. So it is in a way indication that okay, we are putting 1 there. So shifting. Clear? Does it answer the question? Edge trigger or level trigger, change of interrupt is latched in GIFR register. So what happens? An interrupt comes, right? It is latched in GIFR register. After the execution of the interrupt, the flag is automatically cleared. Right? So you receive the interrupt, it is flagged. You go to subroutine, right? Then the flag is clear. Till that, the flag is 1. All right, you complete subroutine. If it is still pressed, it will generate another flag. Fine. Few more things. Edge trigger, it is latched for 1 machine cycle. The level trigger, right? It is not latched, so it will need 5 machine cycles. Right? It must be active for 5 machine cycles. So to make sure that the interrupt is registered, you want to make sure that okay, it is minimum timing of interrupt signal is 5 machine cycle. All right, for level trigger, for edge trigger 1 machine cycle because it is latched. After you receive it, then what happens? They are latched in GIFR register, right? The control will go to the subroutine. Once subroutine is completed, it will clear the flag. Then you may activate again. All right. Then it will read, okay, whether we have input or not. So it will complete that routine. So does it answer your question? And what happens if you keep it pressed? Will it automatically run in that loop? Well, it will complete. We'll come back, check after the ISR is completed. All right. Fine. So here is our program that you want to write. Assume that INT 0 pin is connected to a switch that is normally high. Write a program that toggles port C.3 whenever INT 0 goes low. Use external interrupt in level triggered mode. Can we write down the program now? Right? Assume that INT 0 pin is connected to a switch that is normally high. Okay, is it clear or not? So where is that INT 0 pin? If you go back to our diagram, INT 0 pin. So there is port D, pin number 2. If you start from 0, 1, 2. Okay, this pin is connected to a switch. Is it clear? Connected to a switch. Then what happens? That is normally high. What you want to do, whenever the pin goes low, that is logic 0, it toggles this pin, port C pin number 3. Can you write the program for that? Everyone is now writing that program. Let us practice. Let us practice. So in the main function, you can just put while. Now remember, this may not be the efficient programming. We are learning a program. Right? So in the main function, you can write while 1, that is it. It will continuously run there. Right? And shift this function to interrupt subroutine. Do we get this point or not? At this stage, it is not about writing an efficient program, it is about writing a new way of program. Right? So in the main program, you can just write, okay, while 1. In interrupt subroutine, you write down how to toggle this pin. Everyone on internet, can you write down this program? Everyone on internet, you want to do some practice. Sir, the right side of the slide of the board is not visible online. Right side of the board. Okay, we are not using board right now, Vishwa. Another, sir, can you share the PPT after class? I will do that. At the same time, let me inform that we have textbook that you can use. All right. I will share the PPTs. Answer is yes. Maybe tomorrow. Right. So who is asking this? but you can use the textbook, right? Textbooks are always there. All right, Vishwa says, okay, text earlier, now it is visible, fine, that is okay. So I saw your message now. So everyone is writing this program. Everyone is writing the program. It is about practicing the program. We have only one function. Even then we are using interrupt, that is completely fine. Or one task, right? Someone may say that function is a defined word in C programming. So, okay, we have only one task, and that is to toggle a pin whenever we have the interrupt, how the program would be. Everyone, can you write down the program? You want to practice. Okay, we want to practice in the classroom, not in the exam room. Okay. Mid-semester exams are coming up. Yes or no? Mid-semester exams are coming up. So practice in the classroom. Otherwise, you need to practice in the exam. So everyone is writing this program. And can few of you share online? We can discuss that program. When you share online, can you share to everyone? Right? When you share online, can you share with everyone? So we are writing the program. Everyone, right? We are writing the program. And would like to see some of the answers, need not be perfect. This is classroom discussion. You want to be perfect when you write in the exam, of course. We will share the answer. This is learning exercise. We need not be perfect. Who will share the answer? Yes. Do we have some answer? Yes. Okay. For ISR, let us check the table. Anti-0 underscore vector. If it is interrupt 0, anti-1 underscore vector. vector names. Right, vector names. Is it clear? Vector names are int 0 underscore vector. Everyone, we are practicing this program. Let us fast forward to our location. Again, everyone is calculating, writing the program. Okay. Now, in our lab, you want to double check the vector name. The vector name can be different depending upon our toolkit. Okay. So let me fast forward now. Oops, we have fast forwarded too much. So do we have the answer? It was right here. Everyone online, do we have one answer at least? Do we have one answer? This vector table. Fine. Program, everyone online. We need to have program. It did not be perfect. We want to discuss. So what is the program? Are we ready? Yes, everyone here. We are writing. Can you share online? What is our program? Yes. Okay, we have some programs. Let us see. And yeah, if you can share with everyone, that would be very much helpful. So yes, it has this program. So DDRB equals to 0 cross 08. And what is the reason? All right, we want the third point as input. We are receiving a number from there. Okay. We want to toggle the third bit. Okay, so for that, all right. Then GICR is 0 cross 40. Okay. MCUCR equals to 0. Okay. Level trigger, fine. And in main, you want to have, say, while loop so that it runs continuously. While 1. And in the main program, you want to have while loop that is running the program continuously. In while loop, you don't have anything. Clear? While loop that is running, doing nothing. Yes, there, running continuously, main program. Nothing. In this specific case. Yeah, that is fine. It is just running, doing nothing. Say it again. This one. Yes. Okay. So in this specific function, what you are doing is you are toggling it 2 times. All right. Here. Yes. And when you toggle, you want to do it only 1 time. This is 2 times. So we'll change accordingly. So it is a good place for discussion. Thanks, Yashit, for sharing. Right. Now, this can be one way of writing the program. Solution from the textbook. Let us quickly see this. Right. Include AVR/IO, the same question. Include the interrupts. All right. Then in the main, we have DDRC, that is pin number 3 of port C is output. Port D, right, we activate the pull up. Right. So not this additional point that we want to use the external interrupt. We want to activate the pull up. Port D goes there. All right. Then GICR activated, global interrupt activated, and we are just waiting there. In the subroutine, we just toggle it. Right. This location once shifted that many times. We just toggle it. Clear or not? Everyone? Yes. Yes. So we need to include one more instruction. Correct. And in the main program. In the main function, we will also include the MCU control register. And that you want to put 0, 0 for that specific value. So one more instruction should be added here. Is it clear? Now the author has not written it because default value is 0. Understand this, right? Default value of any register is assumed 0. So that MCU control register is not mentioned. Is it clear or not, everyone? Right? However, it is always good practice even assign 0 to that. Right? Why it is not mentioned? Default values are 0. So we say, okay, we skip that. However, if you are writing exam, you want to mention that, even if it is 0. Everyone, is it clear or not on internet as well? Right? Declare everything, even if it is default in the program. Any questions? So I will wait. If you want to write down and make sure that you include that declaration of MCU control register. Okay. And that would be in this case 0. Right. However, whatever the value is from exam viewpoint, you declare that. Is this fine or not? Do we need to use? Yes, set interrupt. Two, this is global switch, then we have local switch. So we have two things, right? We activate the interrupt globally, right? And then we activate it specifically. So we have two switches to activate. If you go back to our example case, you see, this is the global one, this is the local one. All right. So ACI is there. Does this answer your question? All right. Now the question is, what happens if you have more than one interrupt activated? Yes. Okay. So port D. So let us see, where is port D? Let us see the diagram. Port D pin number 012. This diagram? No. So if I will ask such questions, I will give you the diagram as a table in exam. Right? Good question. Examination is coming up. So professor, do you need to remember this and this and this and this, and the list goes on? The answer is no. Right? All these things, the tables will be provided, right, as part of the appendix in the exam. You need to learn how to use the table. Is it clear or not? Right? So the corresponding table would be provided. I don't find any reason that every student remembers all the tables. Now you see the scenario: timer 0, timer 1, timer 2, interrupts. And if you move forward in exam, final exam, you have long list to remember. So those things that are just say remember type of thing would be provided. Is it clear or not? Online also, do you get this? And we have few more answers. Let me check. We have few more answers or what after our discussion? Okay, this is from Yash. So yes. Yeah, this is the one we discussed. Fine. So do we get this or not? Oops. So now we say, okay, interrupt priority. So this is the priority. Right? The rule of thumb is lower the ROM location in the vector table, higher the priority. Right? Lower the number of ROM location where we want to have the control going, higher the priority. That means reset has the highest priority. What is the ROM location? 0000. Whatever you are doing, just press reset. It is activated. That has the highest priority. The next priority is interrupt 0, that is hardware. External interrupt 0, 1, 2. And then we have the timers. Right? So if more than one interrupt comes at a time, the interrupt with the higher priority will be addressed, then the next interrupt will be addressed. Right? It is what happens. 3 interrupts comes together. Okay. First the highest priority is addressed, then the next priority and the next priority. Clear? So you can activate these many interrupts and the priority will take care of which one to address first. If all of them come to the controller simultaneously, if they come one by one, okay, there is no problem. Clear? All right. So with that, this is another question to practice. But before that, before we practice this, we want to plan something for the mid-sem. So this is end of the interrupt programming in the classroom. Right? These are the interrupts. You should be able to use external interrupt 0, 1, 2 and all timer interrupts at this stage. Clear or not? We'll study other interrupts as we will reach there. The USART interrupts, right? That is next. But from the mid-semester exam viewpoint, the syllabus of mid-semester exam, right, will include up to interrupts. Yes, question. In mid-semester exam, so what type of questions will be there? All right, the question can be of any type. Multiple choice, theory, program. Let us open one question paper. Let us open one of the question papers from previous years. Okay, so is it clear?
Sir,
Next Thursday, 1 minute online. Next Thursday we will study next chapter, but that will not be in the mid-sem exam. That will be part of the end-sem exam. From the mid-sem exam viewpoint, we will stop at interrupts. Okay, and you should be able to program all external interrupts, all timer interrupts. Is it clear or not? Yes, question here and then online. Yes. A good question that should be asked to the exam committee, not me. Okay. So my area of discussion for mid-sem is the exam paper. How it is conducted? Okay, we have a committee or team at university that decides. I follow their guidelines. Is it clear or not? So whether it is online, whether it is offline, etc., would be decided by the team. There is one question raised from internet. Okay. Who is
sir.
raised the hand? Yeah, can you tell your question?
yeah.
One-
So, sir, if we go chapter wise, then what are the chapters we need to preparing
Can
from the
everybody hear
textbook?
the question? Hello. Can you help? Will exam be on LMS? Again, these are the questions that will be answered by the exam team or exam committee. Is it clear or not? That is mode of examination. What we are discussing now about mid-sem is the content and syllabus, etc. So if exam committee says it must be on LMS, we follow that. Okay, I will, but note it down. Everything we have studied till now. Okay. I already shared. I have shared previous papers. Right? Can you look at lecture note folder? In lecture note folder, there is a separate folder for mid semester. Everyone, can you check? Most probably. All right. So you want to have some revision. Let us decide when. Okay. Now, before that, we had one question online. What was the question? Sir, if we see chapter wise, what are chapters we need to study from the textbook? Okay. Pujan, let me prepare a summary. I will send to everyone about that.
Okay, sir.
Right. I will prepare a summary. I will send it to everyone. The point is, whatever study till this chapter will be there. Detailed summary, wait for the email.
Okay, sir.
So that I send it to both the batches. Now, one question. Can we utilize next lecture for revision in place of moving forward the syllabus? Answer is yes. My question is this. What is the schedule of other batch. What are they doing? We have two sections, right? What is section 1 doing at this time? We don't know. Can you ask someone quickly? Yeah, that is fine. Any friend from section 1? So if they are also available, we can have it right away in the class. Of course, you can log in from online. If this slot is not available, then we shift for Wednesday. So Pujan, do you have your answer? I will send the detailed email. Okay. It may take a couple of days, but I think it should not prevent you from studying, right? Maybe early next week.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Got my answer.
It will be busy day for me.
Okay.
So probably Monday, Tuesday, I'll be able to compile all the things. But you have tentative idea, right? Tentative idea. The details will be there soon. Yes, what is section 1 doing right now? Any friends? Section 1, can you check? Online also, all friends, can you check what our half of the class doing? So if everyone is available, if they are available, yes, if they are also available, next Thursday can be a revision lecture here. If they are not available, we will continue the syllabus. And we shift the revision on Wednesday. Next Wednesday, see two options. If entire batch is available, section 1 and section 2, for next Thursday's lecture, right? So that we have common revision for everyone. Then we'll do during this time slot. If batch number 1 is occupied, then we'll find out any time slot on Wednesday afternoon, next Wednesday afternoon. So we need to figure out the common time. So Kasis, can you confirm, do we have section 1 students free during this class time slot? If that is the case, we'll do the revision during next week's classroom. Yes. It should be common. It should be common. Yes.
Yes, sir, they would be free.
Say it again.
Yes, sir, they would be free.
Correct. Then we can have a common discussion. So we want to have a time slot, understand, that is free for everyone, right? 1 minute, let me close the recording. We may not record the discussion. Stop recording.